Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is 5 Minutes with Urban Missionary GabbyGP. In our series of theological jargon, today we look at the term missiology. What does missiology mean? Missiology is simply the study of missions and how the Christian church infiltrates certain cultures with the gospel of Jesus Christ. What does missiology involve? Missiology is simply about missionaries or missionary work. So being a missionary doesn't just involve you packing your bags and saying, I'm going to some African nation somewhere to go and preach the gospel, or I'm going to South Asia to go and preach the gospel. Missiology will help you understand why you are going, the Great Commission, where you are going, as well as what you need to do when you get there. Missiology has to do with cross-cultural communications. You will obviously learn things like the culture of the people grouping that you are going to. What are their norms? What do they value? What are the things that they practice that will obviously seem to be maybe contradicting the preachings and the teachings of the Bible? Because if you don't have an understanding of that, it's very easy for you to walk in there and say something and end up alienating that people grouping because you have no understanding of that particular culture, the things that they value, the things that they consider sensitive. For example, there are some cultures that are very strong on idol worship and the worship of images. So before you present a particular subject matter, it becomes very important for you to understand, why do they worship idols? Why do they bow down to images? What prompted this kind of practice? And missiology will help you bring the gospel into context, so that even as you are showing these people the practices that they are perpetuating and what they are currently doing vis-a-vis what the Bible says, you do not in any way appear to be disregarding their culture or disregarding their language, but you integrate yourself in that community in such a way that they will be able to accept your message. The Apostle Paul says in the book of Corinthians, to those under the law, I became like one under the law. To the Jew, I became like a Jew, and so on and so forth. So missiology helps you as a missionary integrate into a particular society. Let's look at the term urban missionary. Where does that come from? So in the context of missiology, an urban missionary is simply a missionary into your own neighborhood, a missionary into your community. So the same principles that you would use if you are going to pack your bags and fly 75 miles away to go and preach the gospel, you would employ the same principles to try and understand your community or a particular people grouping, a particular culture. For example, a hip-hop culture. So you want to understand the language of the culture, the mannerisms of the culture, the values of the culture, the elements of the culture, so that as you engage the culture, you know what to do and what not to do. You know the language to use. You know how to package the gospel in such a way that people will be able to relate with you. The danger in not applying the principles of missiology is that you will have a good message that might end up being rejected simply because you are not understanding the environment that you are in. So as an urban missionary, in as much as I may fly 1,000,000 miles to go and preach the gospel, I also consider my own cultural environment, the people in my neighborhood, the people at the barbershop, the people at the coffee store. When I am in that space, I am still carrying the message of the gospel, and I contextualize it into that particular setup so that those I am interacting with are still able to receive the gospel uncompromised, whether I am putting it in art form such as poetry or music, or I am simply just using the normal day-to-day language that they understand, so that at the end of the day, man is without excuse because the gospel will be preached nonetheless. I hope that helps you understand. Remember to subscribe and share, and always remember possibilities are infinite, but your thoughts set the limit. Move.